I'd like to call the meeting to order for December 1st, 2025 at 6 p.m. here at the town hall. Need a motion to adopt the agenda.
Second.
No additions or changes. All in favor of adopting the agenda? Any opposed? Approve the minutes of our regular meeting, November 17th, 2025. Any corrections or additions to those minutes? If not, have a motion. Accept.
Move to accept the minutes of 11/17.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Do you vote to approve the minutes of November 17th? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passed. Approve the minutes of a special meeting, November 24th, 2025.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passed to accept minutes of November 24th. Highway report. Morgan, truck number 4.
Yeah, I was hoping, I had reached out to ATG, actually, before that, David had a conversation with them last week about replacing the truck number 4, which is projected within the capital budget for
Mhm.
funding starting July of 2026. And there's such a backlog for ordering those trucks, so David had a conversation with them. I'm just waiting on a spec sheet from that company, and then we can put the proposals out to bid. I was really hoping for that to come in today, but I haven't seen it yet, so by our next meeting, we should be ready to go to advertise for that.
Okay, great. Anything else on highway report Dave wants to report on?
He didn't pass anything along to me, but I know they went in a couple times over the weekend.
Yep.
One truck slid off the road, no significant damage was done. Nobody got hurt.
It was incredibly icy at the start of that.
Yeah,
It was.
but otherwise, he said it went well and they're ready for tomorrow. Hopefully they're resting tonight.
And I think they had to fix a hose on Daniel's truck.
Yeah, he mentioned something about the hose was chafing on the plow frame. Yeah, and Lane fixed that.
Any other concerns from you guys with the roads? You're all set out there? Anything from the treasurer's report?
Yeah.
Committee report, cemetery,
Nothing on the cemetery.
okay, parks committee,
We were going to meet, and walk through the village park this morning, in fact, to just point out where the pruning, what Dave and I were gonna walk through and point stuff out, but we decided to wait, or we have to wait until we have no snow, so
okay.
that's on hold. All like that.
Highway committee. Nothing,
What did I have anything, John?
personnel committee, we hired a position for a foreman. And we also had 4 interviews that we did. And we chose Travis Mann for the position. Starting at $29.
What's that, at the 6th of December?
Oh, starting December 8th.
Saturday.
He had to give 2 weeks. And he was very delighted when I called him. Very happy. was just excited, so. I think we, chose the right person and we'll see how everything goes. I think it's gonna be a good match for the team.
I think so too.
Can you tell us a little bit about him, like what's his background, where's he from, what has he done
He's
before?
got quite a bit of experience. He's worked for, the town of, is it Rockingham?
He worked for Grafton.
And he worked for Grafton for 5 years. He lives on Atkinson Hollow, 5 minutes away from the town.
Work with that Wells.
Sorry,
Work with that
He
Wells.
worked for Thad Hollow. Lives actually next door.
And all.
He's currently working in Dummerston. He worked here up until 2014. And he had a lot of experience,
Yeah.
like hit all the buttons on all the equipment and. I also texted him to say congratulations, and he was texted me right back and said he was happy to hear that and look forward to working with us and etc. He lives right across in Cambridgeport.
Yeah. Yep, up on the hill. Yes, he's a family, has a young child, and his wife just accepted a teaching position at the high school in Bells Falls.
So he's familiar with our roads.
Yes,
Very
I still know he's plowed them.
It's good.
Yeah.
Suzanne would like to say something. Suzanne, if you can hear us, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hi, thank you. Can you hear me all right? This is Suzanne.
Yes,
Okay, great. Thank you. First of all, Select Board, congratulations for hiring a road foreman and somebody who's going to start on the 8th of December. Did I understand that correctly?
December 8th.
That's great. I wondered how successful you were at hiring someone who had the breadth of skills we talked about in one of the Select Board meetings, from the reporting on through to the actual technical skills to do the road work, the reporting, the paperwork associated with the job, that kind of thing.
He's familiar with all that.
Yeah.
I think we felt very confident of that. His communication skills, he's a somewhat, we're quiet, but he's very personable, very open to, spoke wonderfully about how we react with citizens of the town. And I felt that he certainly had the experience and equipment and doing virtually all the tasks we talked about.
Right. See the one at the 2 awards.
Oh, and he has
get 2
received
awards.
accolades in other positions. So
I think the town's gonna be very happy. We're gonna be happy.
Great.
Anybody else from the board have any comments on the new foreman?
And David knows him and felt comfortable with his skills on the equipment and that he'd be able to do the job well, so he gave his recommendation.
Any updates? Whoops, sorry, personnel committee, flood updates for 2023, anything?
No new updates.
And we have a short discussion on short-term rental property discussion updates, since in November there was a workshop
Yeah.
that Anna attended, and she's gonna report to us what she found as new additional information.
So on November 8th, I went to Fairleigh, Vermont, to that Lake Morey Resort, and went to the VLCT day-long session for short-term rentals, about short-term rentals. There's a pretty strong participation. I mean, there are probably 50 others there, so representing maybe 30 or 40 towns. There was legal information there was somebody who had started the Association of Short-Term Rentals, so from that vantage point, there was discussion on there were representative towns that talked about what they have with their approach. There are a number of presentations. What I'm wanting to do just now is basically give a summary and talk about what we should do next. Essentially, towns and cities were there because they're looking for guidance to balance both by and large, the character of their town and all, and the way they expect good life in Vermont, while encouraging tourism that's essential for towns, and also recognizing the rights of property owners. So there's a lot of moving parts there. 3 towns were invited to illustrate where they are in this process now. So they shared these experiences. One was Londonderry, who probably has the most did of these 3, but has a very extensive ordinance. Many regulations that passed in July. They have a paid administrator. They have a 50-night cap for homes. That's all they can rent out, various things like that. What's that?
nice annual.
Annually, yeah. They are, oopsie, sorry, my thing just went out. They have a full-time administrator who earns 45,000 annually to manage it. There are big questions. Is it the appropriate cap? Do they have an appropriate cap? Will the regulation crash the real estate market? Will people now feel that when they buy in Londonderry, they can't do what they want to do with their home? Should there be an appeal process is a big question they're asking themselves. Is the program paying for itself? They have just passed this new ordinance in July, and they are revisiting it in January already because of concerns. The next town that gave their presentation, yeah.
So are you saying they have an administrator?
Yes, they do.
Just for this book?
Just for the STR, yeah.
And how many do they have?
I don't have that written down here, but I certainly can find out.
I think I've read somewhere,
110, I think.
yeah, it's a
110.
large number.
What are they capping it at, 59?
No, the 50-night cap is for new home buyers. They can only rent out their place for 50 nights or have that, any type of short-term rental for 50 nights annually.
Oh, 50 nights.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So they are revisiting it. There's a lot more detail than that. I took the highlights because it was a long day and a long presentation. Ludlow was the next one, and they have no ordinance at all. They are on pause. They have come back and forth with the issue. Their concerns are, again, they have lost momentum, I would argue, I would say. I don't want to put words in their mouth, but this has not been a priority. So right now, they're on pause.
There's a guy here in Grafton that oversees over 200 properties in Ludlow, this B&B, and he said they've had no problems whatsoever.
Yeah, he doesn't, it does not feel pressing at this moment. They have other issues that they're.
And he has it in other towns who do have ordinances. And
Yeah. So, the third one was Waterbury, which is right next door to Stowe. And this is sort of interesting. They have a free registry, mostly focused on the safety compliances. So they have a sort of a landing spot for the fire ordinances and various fire approvals to ensure complete fire and safety inspections. It's not mandatory. It carries no fees. So they who also have more than Grafton, certainly is a much bigger rental base right next to Stowe, have relatively limited. Hold on, I'm trying to scroll down there. Okay, so I'm sorry, my computer seems to be frozen. Can you bear with me 1 minute?
The no fee thing, is that get them off the hook for being sued or?
Oh, no, it doesn't. No, not at all. So I will speak to that because I can. Let me just get out of this and get back in. I did. DEA.
Doors are in there.
My whole computer's just decided to just do that. Okay. Talking off the cuff. I did ask them a very specific question that was asked to us about whether or not having an ordinance suggests or implies any liability on the town. The answer was no. No more than being named in any lawsuit. If somebody fell in the street or something, and by and large, if the town were named, he said it would, I mean, this is the lawyer, the legal guy, and he said it would likely be dismissed, because the town really has no liability. But people might, yes, if something terrible happened, list everybody they can think of to put on their lawsuit. Hold on a second, I found
Isn't
it.
that fair to the homeowner that's renting?
Hold on one second, let me get through this. Having a registry or ordinance does not change or incur any liability on the part of the town. And then he also said anticipating lawsuits and therefore not enacting an ordinance has to be understood in terms of costs and benefits. So whether or not having an ordinance would be, he didn't feel that was a reason to have or to not have an ordinance. There is no real liability. We have insurance through passive, the town has insurance, and likely it's not happened, and likely, he said, if they were named, the town would be dismissed. The person that would be liable is the homeowner. And so that was that. Now, let me get back to my notes here. So they did a big overview regarding tourism and short-term rentals. Wyndham is the fifth county top fifth county in terms of tourism. The growth of short-term rentals is flat at the moment, coming on and coming off this. There's a lot of data out there. New and extensive data shows the increase in short-term rentals do not equate with removing a potential house from the housing market. Again, a lot of data. I can pull it up, but they do not see that correlation. Currently in Vermont, overall, towns regulate by ordinance, regulate by registry, or both. Some regulate through zoning. That would not apply to us, maybe Burlington, and some do nothing. Some towns have input from the planning commission, depends upon the structure of the town, and some towns have adopted a local options tax, which is would take some research, because when you already have a property tax, a local options tax gets a little confusing, but who knows, it could be something to investigate.
So there's hospitality tax, there's some.
There are a number of taxes out there anyway that a short-term rental owner pays. They pay all sorts of
Food tax.
food, well, not a food,
If they
if
serve.
they serve food, there are a number of taxes. This is one that the town could put, so the revenue would come directly to the town. This local options tax.
Vermont legislature just added a tax.
That's a totally different thing, which is in addition. This would be in addition.
Yeah.
General overview. Short-term rental ordinances are constitutional and valid. Constitutional and valid. So, it's again, if the town wants to have one, the town can have one or not. The second big point is licensing fees cannot be used as a revenue generating measure, but can be used for administrative purposes. so it's not to put into the town coffers. Enforcement fees, however, fines and things like that can be used in the general fund. Another, hotels and big corporations, I put them sort of in quotes, because that's sort of how they refer to them, are not owning properties and renting them as STR, short-term rentals. They may have a management arm that runs private short-term rentals, so the Marriott's and Hilton's and all those places aren't owning properties, but they may own an organization like Vacasa, VACASA, which is a management arm for a private owner's purposes. Lest I spend as long as I was there, I'm gonna draw a conclusion and put this out there. Final takeaway, the basic structure of our ordinance is sound. The details around fee structures, registration requirements, and other regulations need to be resolved. And the biggest takeaway brought up over and over again was that the most successful ordinances are created around consensus among stakeholders. I think we can all understand that. And on both sides of the equation, those that have a short-term rental and an interest in them, and those that are concerned about them, and those that are just interested in the ordinance in and of itself. And so our current draft, I would highly recommend, be reviewed by a team, a volunteer team. I'd be happy to chair that, and have the details fine-tuned with input from both sides before it's brought to the board for the vote. That was reiterated constantly, and the consensus building before it goes to the vote is essential. And there had been missteps, I mean, among other towns where there wasn't that kind of thing, and I think we have an opportunity to do that. And then we can see if we need one or don't need one, where it falls. So that would be my recommendation, and I was hoping to say that we'd welcome anyone that's interested in joining the team to work with our existing very solid foundation on those fine details, which, you know, as I mentioned, there are a number of them. There are the fees, the potential tax, et cetera, et cetera. So that's my,
So are you looking at
in a nutshell, report.
having a committee?
Yeah, a small committee, nothing too unwieldy, with people with interests on both sides. And that would be my hope. I suspect from what I know around town, that there would be people from both sides that would be interested in participating and sort of drafting this final piece. I would be interested in hearing about the planning commission. I don't know enough about it. And whether sometimes the planning commission is very much involved in this kind of thing, and I don't know anything about ours and whether or not that is something that makes sense or doesn't. That's not the case in every town. Our towns vary so wildly.
Sense in terms of our village designation of the
Mhm,
planning, and
So,
they're going to be doing a new plan in the next couple of years, so
right.
it's worth having somebody who wanna be on it.
I think in the last plan it was mentioned, but it wasn't as big.
Yeah.
And at both, there are two vendors there, one of whom presented to us, Morgan and I and you. And the other one I had not met before, and they did a quick look at our numbers, and our numbers, we're around 22 at this point. I mean, our number, they come on, go off, come on and go off. So the numbers fluctuate. They certainly haven't taken off, but there seem to be some changes. There's some people who have gone away from it. Maybe there are houses that have been sold that are no longer
When you say member, do you mean management company?
Yeah, no, these aren't management companies, these are, one of them is called Granicus. And what they do is they're a administrative, they have an administrative function, and they,
Is it what they do for towns?
yes, so they can scour the World Wide Web and find any listing, they can find the details of the listing, the managing companies of the listing. They have database access, and we talked about that,
Yeah,
and
they
we talked about.
kind of pinpointed Grafton and they could shoot out.
Yeah, he'd
houses.
be, and I could call this, we've heard from the other guy. He'll redo it, this guy's happy to do it again for us, and we can evaluate whether that, if we have the fees and the, balancing the administration. But again, that administrative cost, that it does incur administrative cost outside of. If Morgan had done any administration other than all we had talked about in the past. We talked about in the past of having an administrative, potentially having an administrative. Oversight from one of these database managements companies. So that's. My report.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And there's. I pulled it down, there's lots of, information out there. One of the things, if for interested parties, the, seminar itself is available and people can look and hear for themselves certain segments, which we still have access to that forever, right? So we can get any input, any clarification. It was, again, a long day, a lot of notes going, it was fine, so.
Was there one thing from the conference that you got that surprised you or?
It surprised me that several large towns, larger than us, that you would think were ahead of us, don't have ordinances and don't seem to. I didn't expect that at all. I guess that's probably my biggest surprise. My other big surprise, actually, I was pretty impressed, this girl who, if anyone's willing to come here and talk about it, and this girl is the belief on a lot of people's, that a lot of people have, that encouraging tourism in towns that have no options. It's important for the living and earning and spending in our towns, that there are options to stay here. Vermont relies on tourism. There's so much about that. And while we do have an inn, I was reflecting to myself, we have the inn, but we recognizing that if somebody has a wedding at the inn, they're obliged to use, to the best of my knowledge, all the rooms at the inn. So there's lots of times when we would welcome tourism, because we do, and where they wouldn't have a place to stay. So they talked about this, in sort of St. Johnsbury area and up at, Lamoille Valley, where there are very, very few hotels, and they really need people to offer these homes so that we can, all day, beautiful new bike path, but where can people stay? So it was very interesting to hear that, perspective, for sure. I was quite surprised that the number of towns that are in the very beginning stages.
I can remember way back when village season here was a big thing and the inn did not have enough room. And they would seek out homes in Grafton.
Well, I think the inn, during during the wedding weekends, and the wedding weekends now take up a number of them. Yeah, that's a significant amount. I can't speak to the inn and their vacancies and things like that, but it is definitely a requirement if you're gonna rent the inn, get married at the inn, you gotta take the whole thing, so.
So anyone interested should contact you or.
Yeah, please, we'd welcome. I don't think we wanna get too unwieldy, but we certainly, it's a hopefully we're close to at least going one way or the other, so figure it out.
Thanks for doing that. That's surprised me, what doesn't have. Condos and skiing.
No.
Yeah, it gets over 200 in London. They don't have any problems at all.
Yeah, they must have a massive amount of grounds.
Little mountain, yeah. Well,
Well, some of those are gonna fall under different lodging categories, so it's up to 10 beds or something, there's a lodging threshold.
Yeah.
The lowest one is the short-term rental, after that, you become a lodge, you fall into a different tax zone and different regulations.
did they talk about any septic issues?
No,
Nothing.
not really, no, that was never really brought up, the issue that was most prevalent was, it wasn't in about noise or airproofing trash cans, all that came up. It was about the fire regulations and ensuring that people aren't just checking boxes, but in fact are having the official signed fire document uploaded with the registry. The fire guys were there, they will come out and talk to us. They will certainly, there's a Springfield outlet of the state fire marshal that does these regulations, and they would, but they said that was everybody's overarching issue concerning safety. It was just sort of making sure that the homeowners are doing the right and good thing, and protecting their property, but not having it overloaded, and protecting their clients by being as safe.
And can you go back a little bit? I'm not sure I understood it correctly. And thanks very much for this report. Was there a statement that there is no data proving that short-term rentals diminish long-term housing options?
No, what the statement was, and this is pretty much verbatim. New and extensive data shows that the increase in short-term rentals in the past, say 20 or 30 years, does not equate to impacting the potential housing market, that it hasn't had a negative impact, taking houses off the market that would otherwise be bought by a family. And I mean,
Yeah.
we're not the first town to wonder if
Yeah.
that home could have been bought by, why it was taken away from the opportunity for somebody else. They have this big, huge database. So, but the ends of the conclusion is that these STRs are not making an impact on that.
So that sounds really counterintuitive.
Yeah.
Because that has been one of the concerns all along, because we do have a housing shortage, a well-known housing shortage.
In Vermont.
And it's, yeah.
Correct. They talked a great deal about the housing shortage. There are so few short-term rentals, the housing shortage in Vermont is because there was not a lot of, largely affordable housing out there. And it's not, the vacuum is not because of short-term
Yeah,
rentals.
okay, so, okay, I guess it makes sense if you look at it on a statewide level, but if you look at it at the town level, I think it could be a very different conclusion. So look at a town like Grafton, what short-term rental housing or purchased housing is available here? Almost none. So I think the answer would be very different if you look at smaller communities.
Might be.
And
Or, I don't know.
that kind of would make sense to me that when you make your property available as an SDR, it is no longer available for longer term rental or for a family to purchase.
Right, so what I think one of the things that they were making really clear is that short-term rentals are 30 days or less. Many people are not saying, therefore they're not available for longer. The people who are saying they are not available for longer are part-time homeowners. As opposed to, so that's, if and I think maybe that is where the explanation lies a little bit, because if somebody could rent for the season, they would. They'd be happy to rent for the season. It's way less cost on the homeowner in terms of the taxes, because there's a significant tax cost to the owners for short term, 30 days or less. You hit 31 and you don't have that. You want to go and do a 6-month rental or a year-long rental to a family, you don't have that. I think I will ask, I'm gonna go deeper or go back to it, but the impact, the short-term rental market is a huge percentage of it are part-time homeowners, part-time dwellers. Like overwhelming percent that would not be available to short-term. Do you see where I'm going there?
Yeah.
So while somebody buying a vacant house and turning it into a short-term rental feels like that was directly removed off the market, I get that sense. However, the data indicates that these short-term rentals, like it's some huge, like 87% of them or something crazy. Don't quote me, I shouldn't have said that on there. That number, some very, very large number, it's people that are in their houses sometime during the year, therefore they're not available for rent, a full-time rental. And this is how those people are choosing to use their house when it's unoccupied. I can verify this.
Yeah, that's one category, sounds like it's on a statewide basis, a very
Yeah.
large
But
category.
even around here, the homes that are short-term rentals I think we could easily check and see the percentage that are always a rental or the percentage are used at some point during the year by the owner,
By the owner.
which we certainly can think some off the top of our heads. I don't know that.
Joe Lake's house, good example.
Perfect, yeah, exactly. Or sometimes used, sometimes not. And I don't know, I would have to, look into, I mean, I could dig deeper or get somebody to help me to figure it out. It's pretty intense data. Does that help to clarify a little bit? But I agree that there isn't, I mean, Vermont overall, the state is very different than Grafton.
Yeah,
Snapshot.
and so of course, our particular concern is not Vermont overall.
Of course it's
How
not.
it impacts
Yeah,
us as a
absolutely,
town in
absolutely.
every way. How does town functions and what is the relationship of these short-term visitors to the overall functioning of the town? Is it a plus or is it a minus in some ways?
Yeah, there are those concerns for sure, or questions. But certainly at the committee level, we can dig deeper into those, the data was coming fast and furiously. So. Any other questions?
No, what Lisa stated is correct, and if you throw the school in there, the school population is deplenished because they don't have places to stay.
Yeah, but that's the point, is that
They
isn't,
don't
it's not
take-
necessarily because of short-term rentals.
But
It
they
might
don't-
be, but
They
it's,
don't take into consideration small towns.
oh, I think this data does, I think I can get it for us.
Oh, you see the difference between Grafton and.
Yeah.
Right, with the cost of housing and where most of the kids come from.
Yeah, that's right.
Tell me what you mean by that, I don't know.
Well, the kids in the school are coming from Cambridgeport because the cost of housing was low.
And Athens.
I thought you meant Athens, right?
Or Athens.
That's sorry, yeah.
Yeah, Cambridgeport is Rockingham.
But the, right, and I think the cost of housing here, I don't have the history, but I know. It's it's always been
Yeah.
higher, I don't know why, other than.
So, not back in the sixties, it wasn't.
Suzanne, go ahead, you have a comment online.
Yeah, so I very much support this idea of consensus in the committee approach, and I'm glad that was something that came out of the meeting as a way to make this whole thing work. I do support also the points Lisa and Kathy have made about the impact on the character of the town, a small town, because it is becoming more and more apparent in the village, at least, that there are a lot of dark houses. And there just aren't the number of people living here enough to join in the volunteer activities that it requires to run this town. I think we had 3 people work on I think we had 3 to 4 people in total work on putting the Christmas tree, the lighting post garlands together. That's just one small example of what it takes to make this town so beautiful that people love to come here to see. But if we don't have people living here, we don't have volunteers to do that work.
True.
No, that's right, Suzanne.
I think that is true. I guess the point is it because there are just people not choosing to live here? Or is it because those dark houses are all short-term rentals? I don't know if they are or not.
Second homeowners included.
The second homeowners is another big.
You can't get any of the natives to stay here because of the cost.
Mm.
You know, the houses
Can't afford
and
it.
everything else, and so they move away, so you don't have any young people anymore.
Yeah, I know. It's an issue for sure.
Yeah, and you won't, I don't say anything that can attract them here.
I think we are not alone in wrestling with this problem.
A lot to be discussed, I think.
Thank you again, Anna.
You're welcome. So again, anyone who wants to get a group to come to consensus on this, some sort of consensus and bring it to the board.
Yeah.
I am a facilitator in that role.
And as I recall from the many previous discussions on this subject, at one of the last meetings where it was on the agenda, there was something that was left to be clarified by the town attorney. I'm not sure that our town attorney is at this point helpful to us on this at all.
I think it was the liability.
No, it's a liability, which I asked at the event. I did ask about the town, does the town incur any more liability by having an ordinance or not?
And the answer is no.
The answer is no.
Yeah, okay.
You're not, it's not, the ordinance would not make us the target, if you will.
Okay, so yeah, so yes, that was the question that was to be, the legal
Right,
question to be
right.
clarified.
So that was the attorney at the VLCT, not our town
Right,
attorney.
right, yeah.
Our town attorney has seen a draft of this ordinance about a year ago, August.
Mm.
Has not seen anything since, but would need to see it in the process, bring it forward at some point, the proper point. I guess.
Other business. Public comment. If nothing, next meeting, special meeting, Thursday, December 11th at 4 p.m. And it's the budget expenditures.
Yeah, you know, on that, we can contact Bill Burns. Either he can come to it or ask him what his duties are. Because it's very hard to determine how much to put in the budget without not.
For the December
He
11th.
should have a chance to defend himself. we're gonna talk about.
Yeah, December
And
11th.
I know we did it the last budget meeting, talk about. Instead of, and nobody really knew what his duties are.
Can you make a note of that?
Yeah, do you have an answer?
Yeah, that's great.
No, that is, and if he was,
Or he can,
Give us
Yeah.
figures.
We have them.
The next special meeting is Monday, the 15th of December, 5. Again, budget, revenue. And then we have a capital budget public meeting, Monday, the December 15th at 5:45. And then we proceed on December 15th at 6, a regular meeting. Motion to adjourn, no discussion?
so moved.
Okay, all in favor?
Bye.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.